The Forever Alone Filmmaking Podcast is brought to you by no one. Because nobody gives a fuck if you make your movies or not. That's why you gotta go out there and do that shit on your own, pimp. Tonight's show features James Id, creator of the Binding of Isaac trailers, and the soon-to-come robotic Holy War feature film. Jimmy ScreamerClauz, creator of Tainted Milk and Where the Dead Go to Die, and M. Strange, creator of We Are the Strange and Heartstring Marionettes.
Okay, hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Forever Alone Filmmaking Podcast, the podcast for filmmakers who work mostly alone. My name is M. Strange and I work mostly alone. And I'm joined by...
I am Jimmy ScreamerClauz and I am so alone.
I am James Id and I like to not be alone, but sometimes I am.
But those are the kind of people we are, but we still try our best to make our fucking movies. So, we got actually some questions from past shows, and there's like 5 questions from 5 different people, so that surpassed what we predicted our ratings would be of 3 people, so good job, guys. Great job.
Good job for doubling
Pretty
the quota.
soon, we'll be the popular people. Okay.
And then all the parties come.
Yeah, the parties, because that's why we do it.
That's great.
So, look, we're going to go through these questions and answer the questions that people ask. So if you ask some questions, we're going to answer them, and then we'll talk about related stuff in the meantime. So the first question somewhat out there is, maybe you could talk about how your film ideas come about, or how to have a clear vision of what you're doing. I know I come up with a lot of ideas, but I never know where I'm going with it, and it just falls flat. Okay. So how do you take your idea and figure out, I guess what this person's asking is like, how do you know what to do with it? How do you know if it's just a written story, like a novel, or an animation, or live action? And then once you decide what it is, how do you go and make that happen? So let's start with you, Jimmy ScreamerClauz. When you get your ideas, how do you know what they're going to be, and what things do you do to make sure they happen?
Well, I mean, I don't really have a set method or anything like that, so I'm currently writing a new feature right now, so maybe I'll just go through how I'm doing this one, I guess, as an example.
Yeah, and how you come up with what becomes a film idea versus an idea for something else. Like, how do you know this idea is a movie?
I mean, because I wouldn't really make anything else, so it's either going to be a movie or a song or, a musical thing like that. I don't really write novels or anything like that, so I don't have anything in between. It'd be one or the other. And I mean, and for this movie, I had like a lot of ideas for it over the years that I just scrawled into notebooks and text documents around hard drives and everything, and I just kind of collected all the parts of it that I liked, and from all those parts, I made an outline. And then, from the outline, I wrote like a whole backstory, just verbatim, in like 5 or 6 paragraphs of the whole backstory of what happened in the world before we get to this world. And then now, as I'm writing the script, I'm just trying to find ways to explain what I wrote inside of those 6 paragraphs. So that's how I'm deciding my character's dialogue and stuff like that. So I have like the loose outline where I have like scenes that I'm cutting out as I'm going to. And then I have the long backstory where I just keep referring to both of them as I'm writing. And I just write it straight through in order. And if I come to something that I kind of find that's boring to write, or that I'm just not in the mood to do, like an interrogation scene or just like a back and forth, I kind of just write something generic, like, this is where I'm going to put the interrogation scene. And then I just skip along to the next scene. And then when I go through and do the next draft, I'll start filling in all those things and just go through it over and over and over again, fixing it up.
So how do you know where you're going? Is it because you write the whole thing and you already know what the end's going to be? Because I guess maybe what this person's asking is like, say they're like, I got an idea for this badass monster guy who has fucking syringe fingers that shoot out the lava or something, and then that's it, or,
Well, in this case, I kind of just wrote who, like, the main characters are. Like, I have the main 5 or 6 characters, and then, like, I have whose characters the point of view of the movie is from. So I go through them, and then I kind of just make a lot of it up as I go, as I'm writing it too. Like then I start adding in side characters, and I'll have another text document open where I'll start making a character list, so I know I can go back to them too.
I think that's a key, because I think people that haven't done this shit and haven't had the experience assume that we know what the fuck we're doing all the time.
Like I just and then I rewrite it again as I'm making it. Like what's on the page doesn't even mean that's what the movie is half the time.
Yeah,
like
so
sometimes I'll take people's dialogue and just write a whole new scene around it.
I know it's a different thing, but I read this book, like there's a Stephen King book that he talks about him writing, and when you read that, it's like, whoa, this guy didn't even know what the fuck he was doing, and he didn't remember any of his books because he was so coked out and like drunk, but he would just write them. Like, you'd sit there and make them up. And then, I think we tend to assume that, like, no. This person knows what they're doing. They have a clear idea of where this character is going to go and why. And, well, but, I mean, I do the same thing. I just put a character in this. He's going to walk in this cave. Okay, what's in the cave? There's a fucking monster in the cave. What kind of monster's in the cave? It's this kind. Then what happens? He runs out. Okay. And,
then you just connect everything together.
Yeah, so the thing is, you don't have a clear vision, right? It's like you're walking in the fog the whole time until the movie's done, and then you're like, oh, that's where it was going. Do I like that? Do I not like that? And if you don't, now I'm talking about the writing, or you haven't made it yet. You're still coming up with the concepts, and then once you go through the fog and come to the end, then you can go, do I like this? Do I not? And then you can change things. Because I mean, this is you want to add anything about that, James? Because I mean, you have a couple things you're trying to like realize right now and get through that fog, right, and see them through to the end.
Right. Well, yeah. What was your question?
So this person's saying, that they have a hard time. They have an idea, but they don't know where they're going to go with them, and they feel the ideas fall flat because they don't know where they're going.
Well, I know that for a short period of time, whenever I wrote, I would come up with like a really cool idea, and then I would try to make a narrative out of it. Mm-hmm. And I was never really happy with whatever I came up with because I kind of overbuilt the story. I got away from the real cool idea I had in the beginning. And what got me interested in my work again is just writing out a bunch of cool stuff, like things I want to see and characters I want to see and situations I want to see and dialogue, and just building an arsenal to build a story with.
And what do you think led you astray from those original things that excited you? Like, what was it?
Overthinking it. Honestly, just trying to make it... Thinking about how everyone says a story should be built, and going the wrong direction, and going with what other people tell you to do. I mean, the stories I want to tell are certainly not... They haven't been told before, so I really can't listen to other people on how to tell them. So
then the thing that fucked you up was trying to play someone else's game.
Exactly.
Rather than playing your own game, because I mean, that happens a lot where it's like, no, I want to see it like this. And then you start to go, wait, but is this like whatever movie you look up to or you like? And if it's not, then you start going, oh, well, maybe I need to change it. Maybe I need to make it more like that. And I think, that's where we fuck up. And you just have to be like, you know what? I like this shit. Yeah, it's not perfect, but I like it, and it's mine, so I'm going to do it.
You kind of have to, at least in the way I do things, I have to kind of come to terms with how I can be happy with the story. Because I can't necessarily just throw all the cool ideas I have and just jam them together. I have to kind of come to terms with what I'm building. In the same way that you have to kind of... You can't just have a child and be like, well, I had a child, go child out into the world and get an education. No, you have to kind of lead it to where, you think the child should go and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, so I guess kind of when this person says they don't know where they're going, but the thing is, you go wherever you want to go.
Exactly.
So you have a character, you have this dude with syringes on his thing, it's like, okay, well, how did he become like that? All right, why? Or who made him like that? Who is this other person? Is he upset about that? You just start asking questions, I found. If you don't know where you're going. Because it's like, I got this cool-ass dude. Who made him? What does he want? What is he doing? And it's like, at the most basic, not like I'm some master filmmaker, but, at the basic form, you're you're asking questions and answering them, or you put something on screen, you know, if there's like a creaking sound, then the audience is like, what's making that sound? And then you could show it to them or not, but it's just, you know, that's where you go. Just
and another thing I found that, like, even if you go to a place where you really aren't happy with the whole story, you now have a whole arsenal to use in a news story if you're not going to use it.
Yeah,
so
and you can always change that story.
Exactly. You could always start from a point that's earlier. I mean, if you haven't done any additional work other than, you know, writing an outline, coming up with ideas, or even writing a script, if that's all you did, this is the perfect time to kind of be like, all right, these ideas I can shelve for something else. Let me cut it to this point and build from there in another direction.
Yeah, but the important thing is to finish it, because you can't really see the flaws until it's done. You can think
absolutely.
There's flaws, and you could think it sucks and it's falling flat, but until it's totally done, you really don't know. So you just need to go through and do it. So I think the answer is no one ever really knows where they're going. And if they do, I think their shit's going to be boring anyway, because it should be exciting on some front, or you should surprise yourself. I don't know. You guys have anything else to add to that?
No, I think we covered it all.
Okay. So the second question is there like an official Uber-rector community, or do we just happen to randomly find each other's blogs and sites and things? So since I came up with the ridiculous term Uber-rector, I would think the only community that maybe there kind of is my blog. And the reason I came up with that is that, you know, like, I know you, Jimmy ScreamerClauz, have submitted movies to festivals and stuff, and then it's like, you have a movie that you animated yourself and you did everything, but then they just consider you a director. And, you know,
and they don't always consider that you did it all yourself either. Like, they don't really care sometimes either, you know? They're like, well, that's no excuse. You could have had a studio and you should have. So it's like sometimes it's not even to your benefit.
Yeah. So I guess, no, there's no official community, but I mean, because there's not that many people that do it, but I mean, as there is more and time goes on, hopefully we will have one. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. That's what we're trying to do with this podcast, right? Like,
yeah, there really isn't a whole lot of people doing it, at least not on a feature film level. Like, shorts are starting to pop up here and there.
I mean, even 3D, it's pretty rare for people to do their own 3D animated shorts, because, you know, they think like, oh, wow, Pixar and fucking big budget and this and that. So, or it's some dude taking fucking 8 years on like a 4-minute short. So,
yeah.
So yeah, there is no official community, and so, but hopefully that will change. If people listen to this podcast, go out and make shit.
It will grow.
Because, I mean, listen to us as forever alone filmmakers.
Look how happy we are.
Pretty chipper folks. Right, James? Right?
Right.
Come on, put a smile on your
Damn it,
face.
James! Get with the program!
So the next part of this person's question is, my big problem right now is voice work. I'm all ready to buy some gear and try to hire / find people to record dialogue for free. How do you go about doing that? Where do you look? And how do you sweeten the deal? Jimmy, I know you've gotten a lot of voice actors, so why don't you give this dude some advice?
I mean, well, most of mine were either friends or friends of friends, or people I just kind of emailed and said, hey, you know, here's some other stuff I did. I'll pay you this amount of money. Like, for my movie, I only paid one person, and I won't really even reveal who it was or how much it was, because that's impolite.
Yeah.
But, like, there was only one person who really wasn't, like, who I didn't know, like, enough to be like, hey, would you do this?
Yeah.
But, like, if you trade with people a lot, too, like, hey, if you do this in mine, I'll do this in yours. Or if you know someone who knows someone, or if you work on somebody else's movie and they know somebody who you really like, you know what I mean? You can get them that way.
Yeah, like me and you, we traded voices. You did a voice in Heartstring Marionette, and I did a voice in Where the Dead Go to Die, and
yeah.
So look for other Uber-rector or other animators. Usually if you're animating and you're doing your own voices, like, you know, you're down to help someone else because you know how it is.
And I know a lot of them just you can just, like, there's even, like, casting websites you can go to and stuff.
Yeah, or just search, like, look for people doing voiceover reels on YouTube. Like, I was looking at, like, people doing, like, anime character, you know, auditions, and I never ended up doing it, but I could have just easily emailed them, and I'm sure a lot of them would work for free, because...
Yeah, go to conventions, meet people.
Just
go out. Go out, look for people.
find them if they're out there trying to do it. Then more often than not, you don't need to do anything, but treat them respectfully and like give them a copy of the movie. When it's done.
You don't even need to find actors. Like I just find crazy people sometimes, and that works just as well. Just finding nut jobs.
As long as they don't eat your mic or something, right?
Yeah,
Or like, where'd the mic go? It's in my body cavity.
You just don't bring a good mic that day.
Yeah, and you don't want them stashing your microphone inside of their body cavity.
Or do you? Oh, I want to record the insides.
Yeah, in either case, if they eat your mic or it goes in their cavities, then you got awesome Foley.
Oh, yeah.
Gut juice.
So
People
there you go, yeah.
for that.
If you have to have like a hell or this crazy cave, and like, dude, how'd you make that sound effect? Oh, it's from a schizophrenic homeless man's bowels.
He stuffed it in his ass. I tried to stop him, kinda.
That's disgusting. How could you bring that up, James? God, dude, you're just bringing
God's
this podcast
sakes,
down. So, have you ever been able to wrangle any humans to do your bidding for animated films, James?
I have, with the Super Meat Boy trailer, I found an actress on Craigslist, which is, I kind of advise against half-heartedly, because when I did it, I felt so awkward, because here I am, someone who normally does stuff with computers and animates, and it's like, oh, a real human being. I actually have to tell them how to do things, and they're going to look at me like I'm, insane. My computers don't look at me like I'm insane. At least not in front of me.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel that too. Well, I kind of like feel bad, but I can't pay people. So maybe if this dude's like, how do you sweeten the deal? A lot of people, if you just give them the time and you're like, you give them a good part, and then they'll just want to do it, as long as you're not a douchebag and like, treating them like shit.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the easier things to do is find voice actors.
Yeah, and if you want like a bigger person too, just try getting them to do something small. Don't make them like your main character.
Yeah, because I looked up. I was for Heartstring Marionette, when I couldn't find the female lead. Like I was looking into some of the like well-known actresses who have done like the woman who did like Faye Valentine and Cowboy Bebop, and she did like Kageto and Ninja Scroll and all this stuff. And their day rate is like not that. I mean, it was like $1,000 a day or something, but even if you did not, like I'm saying, go spend money, but even the top of the top, like anime voice actors aren't like insane if you just needed them for like an hour or two or something. So you guys have anything else?
That's really all that matters, just cameos, really. Like you can sell movies just based on cameos sometimes.
Well, I'd also suggest maybe using other avenues for voices, whether it be text to speech, whether it be doing your own voice but adding effects. I think you don't necessarily have to reach out for other people if, or at least you shouldn't halt your own projects if you can't find other people or someone's not exactly right.
Or focus more on your visual storytelling and have no dialogue.
Yeah, like wasn't there somebody that you knew, M. that like their whole movie at least at one point was all like computer voices?
Yeah, Dave 4K, the dude who made Archon Defender. He had what's it called, Rocketmen versus Robots. He did these 3D shorts a long time ago, which was some of the stuff that I saw that was like, hey, I can do it too, because he was a guy doing it by himself. And yeah, he used a text-to-speech engine, and they were robots, so like it totally worked. So yeah, don't let even if you can't get voices, you can just use your creativity and your imagination to come up with something. Or like in one of the first 3D animations I did, my little crappy Blue Wander series, I just did subtitles. There was like, I just used on-text subtitles, so no one spoke, and so. But I think finding voice actors is pretty easy. And then the last thing this same person asks is, I dream about my film in high definition, but AACS is some bullshit. Discuss. So what he's talking about is that he wants it on Blu-ray. But Blu-ray has this AACS like licensing shit where they charge whoever makes them like $4,000 and like a per disc fee, so it's not as appealing to make your own as a DVD. So actually, Jimmy ScreamerClauz, didn't you just go to Blu-ray? Do you know anything about this AACS?
I do. It is like you said. It's like a couple $1,000s. You got to license it, and that's one of the main reasons that I that I sold my movie instead of trying to release it myself is because it's very hard to do Blu-ray by yourself. It's just not cost effective, and there's a good market for it, but not like it's not something. I don't think it's something you could sell on your website alone. Like you'd need to get into you'd need distribution for it. I think I don't think it'd be worth it to get Blu-rays made and just sell them on your website by yourself.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Don't quote me on this, boy, because I ain't said shit. But I'm pretty sure you can burn your own Blu-rays that will play in a player, but they're not, of course, they're not replicated. I think what that's about is if you want to replicate them, but I could be wrong.
Oh, okay. I don't know much about it other than there's that fee.
Do you know anything about that, James?
I don't think if you burned a Blu-ray, it actually plays in a player. I think it kind of uses it as like a data.
You know what? It'll only play in a computer. That's right.
Yeah. And talking about computer, I think as indie filmmakers, if you're not going to seek out distribution or you can't find it, I think digital download is where it is. Well, either digital download or digital streaming is where it's at. Like,
okay, but see, who do you go to for digital downloads? How do you do that?
I don't know. MDOT, do you have any?
Well, because I was researching that recently, and it's like, I mean, there's iTunes, right? But an individual cannot sell their movie in iTunes. Like, it's not like iTunes Music. You have to
my album I got on iTunes. They don't have it for movies yet, though, right?
Yeah, they have it for movies, but you have to be a studio that has, I think, in their rules, you've had to have released, like, 50 films or something, or, like, 5 theatrical films. So it's pretty much only studios or aggregators. So then you can get someone else that has a license with iTunes, but then when you do that, they're putting their fee on top, and then iTunes takes 30% off the top.
That's how my album is too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get paid. Like if I sell my album on iTunes, it sells for like 10. I get like 6 or 7 through Reverb Nation.
So
it's not horrible.
Yeah, depending on how much they're taking off the top, but it's not like we can just go. And then also when you do a movie, like I did that for We Are the Strange, they just did it. Like they have this super strict like what's it called, policy, where you have to give them, like, it has to be in ProRes 1080p with all these fucking strict whatever guidelines, and you have to give them this sheet with the fucking markers and blah blah blah, and then they pay. I think you have to pay to get it encoded too. Like you cannot encode it, like they have to encode it, and it's kind of like a clusterfuck. So you have to go through an aggregator. So I went through Indie Blitz, which will do it for you, but usually they take a cut, and then iTunes takes a cut. And they put DRM in that shit too. You can't turn it off. Because someone from Denmark emailed me and they're like, what the fuck? I can't buy your movie. It's not available on iTunes, here, or it's like some stupid DRM. So, I mean, what I would want is just like a download. Like have you guys ever used Bandcamp?
My Butcher's Harem does, the guys I did the video for. I've seen their stuff on it.
So, Bandcamp is fucking awesome because you just upload music, whatever you want, and charge as much as whatever you want to charge, and then it uses PayPal or credit cards, and then they take like fucking nothing, like 10% or whatever. So, but they don't have Bandcamp for movies. If they had Bandcamp for movies, where you could just upload a digital file and they handled all the transcoding shit, and you just got paid, that would be perfect. But I've been searching like the last month, and there's nothing like that.
Well, how did you do on iTunes? Did you end up doing okay? Like, did you make money or anything?
I don't even know. I never even saw any money from it at all because they have to recoup their the encoding fees and the license. They have to pay, for their license, whatever. So no, I haven't made any money on that yet because I don't even know if anybody knows about it. And then when they uploaded it, the fucking poster image was too small, so it's this grainy ass picture, and because the iTunes store has kind of become like, I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember, like, Tower Records or whatever.
Oh, I remember.
Where you would go and, like, there would be the shit in the front with the posters, and that's the stuff you would see, and that's kind of how iTunes is, like, you launch iTunes, and it's like, oh, here's the hot stuff.
Yep.
And if you're nobody, like we are, then your shit's just buried, and, people need a direct link, and... So there is no perfect thing for digital downloads for independent filmmakers right now.
But... if anyone's interested, they could certainly. There's. You
want to know the loophole?
What's the loophole?
The loophole to get into the iTunes store with your movie without anybody being in between is to turn your movie into an app. So what people are doing is that if you make an app, there isn't any like studio movie bullshit guidelines, whatever. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You just need to pay $100 a year to be an iTunes developer. So what people do is just make an app that's a wrapper for their movie, and then they sell the app. So that's what people are doing.
Well, there is digital download open source software. Like if you want to put up a website and have like the movie files hosted by like Amazon, whatever the Amazon content system is,
The EC2 or whatever.
Yeah, there's ways to do that, but it's a little bit more in depth. I wouldn't suggest doing it unless you knew a webmaster that can set that up for you, or you could set it up yourself.
Yeah, it's almost puzzling to me that no one's done that yet, because I'm like, the bandwidth isn't that crazy.
Well, the problem is I don't think there's enough indie filmmakers out there to make that something that would be profitable by someone who already to host it for indie filmmakers.
Yeah, because I don't want to fuck with Blu-ray. Like, I don't even want to fuck with physical media anymore. I mean, if I could just have a download that anyone in the world could get, like, instantly, and there's no DRM or any, region coding bullshit or whatever.
Another thing that you could do is probably maybe, have it burn your movies on SD cards or...
Yeah, that's what I've been looking into. Like, there's a lot of stuff with custom flash drives you can get made and SD cards and all that. And, but the thing is, I think with that, it's like, if someone were to buy an SD card, like, is that an interesting or cool enough artifact that they would want to buy? I know we talked about this before, James, about, like, what, why wouldn't they just pirate it then if it's just on some plastic card with your logo or something? So.
Well, I was looking... I like to base all my ideas on basically the music industry as it is. I mean, like, there's a lot of indie musicians that do really cool stuff. Like, Jimmy introduced me to this artist named this band called Death Grips, and even though you could download one of their albums for free without even like registering or anything, they do have a cassette of the album, and they have a vinyl of the album you could buy. So I think people do want to contribute. People do want to be like, oh, I have a physical copy of blah blah blah, and I'm sure there's ways you can make it unique to them, like an SD card that has your scribblings on it or whatever. There's ways to kind of entice people into actually wanting the physical medium. It's just you can't. I don't know. I think piracy is always going to exist, but I think piracy is just going to. I don't think it's going to rob anybody. I think people that download stuff, like pirate stuff, we're going to buy your movie anyway. And if anything, if they like it, they might want to buy it.
Yeah, speaking of torrents and selling movies, there's this guy, Jamie, I know, that set up this site called Vodo.net, VODO.net, and it's like, it uses torrent technology to distribute and to publicize like indie films, but then they have all these different ways for people to donate and pay for stuff if they like it. So people can go check that out, VODO.net. And I think the number one thing on there is raise like almost $100,000 or something. So, but it's kind of the same thing. They take a cut, I think 25% or something like that, which isn't bad. But for me, I haven't seen anything that's like, yup, there we go. I want Bandcamp for movies. So if someone does that, I'm there. But enough about the whole...
I was just saying maybe it will. Maybe that's where the direction it's going.
Yeah, because I was looking at Bandcamp, and it's like, you can have like extras with an album, like any digital files, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then the maximum file size is 200 megs, because I was like, oh shit, yeah, I could sell the soundtrack, and then as an extra, you would download the whole movie as a digital download, but then it's only 200 megs, so you couldn't do it. So let's get back into some more creative stuff, because the money stuff kind of drains my soul, and then I feel like dying because I don't have any.
Yeah, me either.
So
I have tons of money.
Hey, James. Hey.
James has a regular job.
Don't forget your boy.
Yeah, I work for
Don't forget Papa Strange.
Hey, yeah, don't forget your boy. Hook your boy up. So the next question that we got is someone says, I got this thing I've been working on forever. I can't think of what to make it in. I'm stuck in between making it a graphic novel or a movie. What do you guys think I should do? Well, let's have you answer that question first, Jimmy ScreamerClauz. How does this guy decide what form this story comes in?
That's actually kind of what happened to Tainted Milk. I was going to make that a comic book first. And then as I was drawing the comic book, I decided it'd be funnier if I animated it instead. And that's how I learned how to do all the 3D animation. That's kind of where I started. And then I just ended up using kind of the graphic novel to give me a direction of where I was going when I was writing it out, script-wise, because I already had it done then.
So what told you it was supposed to be a movie rather than a comic? Because it seemed like it would be more interesting, more fun to do it?
Yeah, just as I was making them, like, I kind of want to hear what the dog's voice would sound like. And then I decided just to make it into movie form. So I would say maybe start making the graphic novel, and then if you like the direction it's going or whatever, then make it into a movie. It'd just be a place to start from there.
Yeah, right. Because if you're into the story, then you would be able to write it as a graphic novel or a movie. If you're not into the story, then you wouldn't be able to do either. So if you can't do one of them, maybe the story is just not that interesting to you.
Yeah.
What do you think, James?
I also can't draw, though, so...
Yeah, that has to do with it. How do you decide you want to make movies rather than comic books or something else?
Well, I think that the beginnings of both are very similar. I mean, you have to write it out, you have to storyboard, and whether you're doing a graphic novel or a movie. It's just at that point, it's like, well, do I want, like Jimmy said, do I want to hear the characters? Do I want to put more subliminals in this stuff? Do I want to hone down to single frames, or do I need the motion? So it's really, at that point, it's, at the very least, you have the materials to go either way. You can start both the same way. It's just, it's all about whether you want to hear the stuff and actually see the stuff in motion, or do you want to just hone down single images into, like, the perfect way to communicate an idea.
Yeah, and I think we all communicate ideas in different ways, or we all have a different way of expressing things, but I think you can break it all down to, like, if you're a person that likes to talk or a person that likes to do. If you like to talk and, like, describe stuff, then you're probably going to be a writer or, write a graphic novel. But if you're a person that doesn't like to talk and just, like, I'll show you, then it should probably be a movie. So I think it just really depends on how you feel most comfortable expressing yourself. As some people, can draw a picture, like I could draw a picture of a monster, but I can't draw good enough, or I don't feel confident enough that it would have the mood and the presence and everything that I want to express through that monster. But it's like, okay, in a movie, I have lighting and I have music and I have all these different things I can play with. So, I mean, and yeah, it has to do with if you can draw or not. Like, what is your best skill? And how does that come in? And also, what do you love the most? What do you like more, graphic novels or movies? So, I think that will help you decide what it is. The next part of this question is, does someone have, like, a TV on in the background going...
I don't know.
Okay. So, it's, can you guys give me some books that help with subtext?
I never read any, so I don't have any recommendations. I have no idea.
Yeah, well, I think the thing with subtext, I mean, the best way to learn about that is to just practice it in real life in your interactions with people. It's like, if you're, talking to a woman that you just met and you're telling her about how you're a big fan of the Oprah Winfrey Network or something, but then you're, like, slapping a raw hot dog against your own thigh. Obviously, there's some subtext there.
Obviously.
So, I think the best way is to, like, not like I'm some subtext master or something, but is to watch a lot of, like, old Japanese movies. Like, I've found from, like, samurai movies and stuff, like, they have a shitload of subtext, because at the heart of those, it's ninjo versus iri, or duty versus human feelings. So, like the samurai dude who's doing his duty by having to kill his fucking brother, but then you see the way he's fucking, like, pushing his thumbnail into his finger or doing whatever, or, like, there's other shit going on there. There's, like, because I guess that's kind of how subtext works. It's like what's going on below the surface. So from my experience, I just found watching people and, you know, what people say versus what they're doing and what else is going on. And then you can play that into scenarios and settings to play with subtext. But that's kind of what I think about that. What do you guys think?
Well, there's this website I love, it's done by this guy named Rob Ager. It's called Collative Learning.
What is it? Collative Learning?
Yeah, COLLATIVE Learning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's he does written and video breakdowns of popular movies like Full Metal Jacket, The Shining, Alien, and all that stuff, and breaking them down.
Oh yeah, I've been there. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, breaking them down beyond story elements and actually going into subtext, subliminal themes, how the movies actually work. So if anyone wants an example of how much work has gone into the movies that, you know, a lot of us fucking love, I would definitely check out that website and read a lot of the stuff, and maybe even, you know, buy the guy's DVD. He has a DVD with videos of breakdowns of shit.
Yeah, I would say probably actually watching movie stuff and seeing examples would be more helpful rather than like reading a book about it. But I think that's something from bad movies you can learn because they have no subtext usually. It's just one layer, straightforward, and people say exactly what they mean and feel, like the on-the-nose dialogue and stuff. And so maybe when you're watching that and if it feels bad or dumb, like ask yourself why and, you know, how you would change that. And it's like, you know, if someone's afraid to die, they're not going to go, I'm afraid to die. They're going to say something like, oh, I wish I would have had that steak I loved to eat last night or something. It's like, whoa, they're really saying they're going to die, so it makes it more powerful. So, I don't know. I think from good and bad movies you can learn that. You have anything to add about that?
No, I was just going to say that, like, a good example of, you know, the difference between a movie with subtext and a movie without subtext is Alien. Alien was originally conceived as a Roger Corman B-movie, monster movie. And it wasn't until a bunch of, you know, the director went on board and the set designers and creature designers went on board where the subtext actually came through and that's what makes Alien actually scary and makes it actually interesting.
Once they got that H.R. Geiger up in that bitch.
Yeah, so like honestly, like you look at Alien, it's pretty, the skeleton of that movie is the same as, you know, Galaxy of Terror or some of that shit. But the difference is that the people who are making it were tapping into things that actually scare us in reality, and actually not letting us know, oh, they're tapping into those real fears that we actually have.
Yeah, and that movie scared the shit out of me. I saw it on TV when I was a little kid, and it fucking terrified me. When the fucking alien eggs opened up, yeah, I was like, ah! So the subtext worked really well.
First time I saw that movie, I thought it was Metroid the movie.
Kind of was. And then you typed in Justine Bailey and went all fucking nuclear on it. Oh, sorry, that was an obscure video game reference.
No, I understand what you're talking about.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe someone else does. Okay.
Yeah, Justine Bailey.
Was it Justin or Justine? Justin, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't know what we're talking about, in the original NES version of Metroid, if you typed that in as like the code, then you started the game as Samus, like blonde, and you were like powered up. But yeah. So the next part of this question is, okay, yeah, we're gonna let ScreamerClauz answer this one first because I already know his answer.
Uh-oh.
Do you guys ever come up with an idea for something like a movie or other things and think, shit, maybe I should not make this because it's that fucked up? So self-censorship, Jimmy, tell us about that.
I will give you my honest-to-God answer on this issue, is that half the time that I'm making these really offensive movies, I have no clue that I'm doing it. Like, I show people these things, and I think like some of these things are like hilarious, and they just look at me and they're like, what the hell is the matter? Like, you can't do that. I'm like, why? What do you mean I can't do that? Like, why aren't I allowed to? Like, I was posting the movie on 4chan a couple days ago. Like, I went on to, they have a 3D animator section of 4chan. I don't know how new it is. I just discovered it recently. So I decided to post a movie on there. And some people really liked it, and other people were like, flagged it because of child porn. I'm like, it's a cartoon in Serbian film. They raped a baby like for almost real. They did it. How come I can't do it? So like that's so like as long as it's not illegal, then like it's not off limits to me because I'm like, what's the problem? Like it's not illegal. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't really kill anybody. Just a movie. It's just a cartoon. Damn it.
So you never say that. Maybe I should not make this. Like this is too fucked up.
No, it's really never come to that because I never know that I'm doing it in the first place. People have to tell me later.
So you never think like, oh man, this is fucked up. I shouldn't do this.
No, not really. Like kind of with the last one because it was about kids involved in child porn, but I just kind of found a way to do it where I just didn't break any laws. So then it's okay as long as you didn't break any laws. And then, like, I sent it to a company, and they put it out on the shelves. So really, now it's their fault. Like, they put it out into the world.
Well, and probably right because you didn't do it on purpose, but because it was fucked up, it fit into unearthed films and like their lineup, right?
That's what they do. They collect the most fucked up films from around the world, and that's how I got in there accidentally.
I think something about it's just like I think today with like the internet, to get seen or to get known, you have to either do something so fucking awesome or so fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And like with that, it either has to be fucking Pixar, super family nice, or totally ScreamerClauz fucked up. Because if you get caught in between, then maybe it's just like, you don't want to get caught in between, I don't think.
See, then people always tell me I'm trying too hard too, and I don't even know what that means because I don't know. I just kind of do things, and they just end up the way they are. Like I don't really think that hard about it.
Too, and it's like
that's the most common comment I get is either it's genius but unmarketable, or you're trying too hard. Go away.
Yeah, and that's kind of the stupidest thing anyone could ever tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have your life experiences and grew up and came to be who you are, and then someone tells you that you're trying too hard. Right, but they're saying you're trying too hard to be something you're not.
Mm-hmm.
But what if that's who you are?
Yeah.
It's like you're trying too hard to be original. No, you fucking idiot. Maybe I'm just original because I know you're just a fucking person with no original ideas.
Or maybe it's like that attitude that has led to the movie industry the way it is. Like, you're trying too hard. It's like, well, you're not trying hard enough.
When I hear that too, I'm like, yeah, dude, shouldn't I be fucking trying really hard to, like, do something original and do something fucking cool and interesting? Yeah. I don't want to see this shit. I could not try it all and
make Legally Blonde 4 or whatever,
I don't want to see a movie where the filmmaker is not trying too hard.
Yeah.
Because that's that's the fucking Hollywood
You should always be trying to top somebody, whether it's being the most fucked up or if you're like into action movies, then being the most actiony movie there is. You should always be trying to top the next one.
They're movies, right? It's like trying too hard. It's like being in high school and it's like the dude who has fucking 12 colors of makeup and like a fucking 10-foot hairsprayed mohawk and fucking dildos coming out of his ears. Like, okay, dude, you're trying too hard, but that's totally different from making a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because a movie's not you, it's not me, it's a thing we created, it's separate from us, so, like, what do you think about that, James?
Well, I think I think the term trying too hard really is being applied in really strange things, because, like, as you said, that guy who, has 10 different types of makeup on his face with dildos for years or whatever, he's trying too hard to... Get attention, whereas trying too hard to make a movie that's actually entertaining, I mean, it would be ridiculous to criticize something like that.
Yeah, right, because if you're making a shot or a scene, like, I want people to want to look at it.
And also, to bring it back to the question at hand, I think shock is one of the most amazing tools that a filmmaker has. I mean, it's made so many filmmakers that I enjoy, and probably you guys enjoy, especially John Waters. And to be honest, the internet is our biggest tool, and what works the best on the internet is shock. I mean, most of the stuff that propagates on the internet is shocking. I mean, 2 girls, 1 cup. But like, why not? If our culture is moving that way, why not be more shocking?
Yeah.
I mean, I made like a short film, one of my earliest short films. After I did it, like, some of the actors wouldn't talk to me because it dealt with like fucking child murder and pedophile and.
Is that on the internet?
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's retarded. I forget what. I think it's called The Visitor. You can find it on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/user/I am James Id.
I am James Id at YouTube. Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. It's retarded. But like, after I made it, I didn't realize it was that shocking. But like, people told me it was.
But this is something that I think it's because of people that have fucking closed minds and cannot separate the artist from the art. And it's like, obviously, I'm not a rapist. I'll put rapists in my movie. I may have fucking rape, but that doesn't mean I'm like, yeah, rape is awesome. And, I saw, like, someone asked David Lynch a question where they were like, why are your films so dark and twisted? And he's like, well, we live in a dark and twisted world. And I'm trying to tell stories in this world or that, make sense in this world, so they have to be dark. And, the thing with stuff like, maybe I should not do this, or is this too fucked up? And it's like, if you really want to do it, and it's sincere, and it's not you just going, how can I do the most fucked up thing ever to get attention? Then, yeah, do it, because that's who and what you are and what you want to do.
And at the end of the day, you're really not, like, hurting anybody. As long as it's just, it's a movie at the end of the day. Like, you're not actually doing these things to people. It's like when I made the last movie, about child porn, there's no children actually in the movie. It's all adults, cartoon characters voiced by adults.
If you're an artist or a filmmaker, and then you're going to be all, oh no, I might offend people, then I don't want to see your fucking movie. Like, if you don't believe in it, if you're not passionate enough to be like, you know what, this is me, right here, this is the world, then fuck it, I don't want to see it. Yeah. It's just like people that, when you meet people, a lot of people may want to be friends with the people who are, really mindful and, don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, even if that person says something that they vehemently disagree with at their fucking core level, but will not open their mouth and say something about it because they're too afraid to ruffle feathers. And it's like, dude, that makes for a shit world. And like, in your art too, it's like, if you're afraid to express yourself and your true opinions, then what are you? Like, yeah, maybe you'll go make a bunch of money, but yeah, well, and none of us are rich and famous, right? So the shit we're talking about will not lead to.
I have $12 in my bank account right now.
Well,
I don't know about you guys.
But I don't owe anybody any money for 2 weeks, so. Well, people.
But like, I think it's funny that people are afraid to offend because it reminds me kind of like, it reminds me of science, oddly enough. Whereas someone will come up with a theory, and all these scientists would try to denounce the theory. They will attack the theory. They will try to break it down, and if it is a good theory, it'll hold up against scrutiny. Whereas as an artist, you should be looking at everything that people think and be like, oh, let me attack it. Let me go the diametrically oppose that and see what happens. Will the idea crumble under its own weight, or will it actually, be standing after my attack?
Yeah.
If we have so many like moral pillars, or we have these ideas that we think are worth holding on to, they should be able to stand against.
Yeah, or I mean, with science too, right? You run you do experiments.
Yeah.
You test theories, and you run experiments, see what could happen, and it's like, you can play there, mm-hmm. in a lab that's like protected, and you have like your anti-hazardous material gear or whatever, so like no one's gonna die or get hurt or whatever, because you're not in real life pouring chemicals into someone's drink that they're drinking and dying. So it's like, it's like film is an example for life where you're not doing that in real life. It's like you're playing with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think there's important things to be done there and to be said there and to be played with. And if you're in real life, if everyone's all PC and afraid to, touch on certain topics or things, then you're not going to learn anything, because it's like, a chemistry lab or something where it's like, oh no, dude, don't touch that. Don't put any magnesium. Oh no, but you can't mix this and mix that. And, and then you're not going to learn stuff, or it's not going to be that good.
So the point is, we are all mad scientists.
Yes. And some people are more willing to fuck with very volatile, hazardous materials than
And
others.
pour those materials on sheep, and then jam those sheep in homeless people's faces.
Right, Jimmy? Because, like, child porn or whatever, dude, that's a volatile material. That's a hazardous material.
It is a very hazardous material. One wrong shot can make you go the wrong direction. That's kind of how I treated the movie, because there is a scene where, like, they actually are filming a child porn movie. It's just like, all right, it's like, there's one, if I get the wrong camera angle, this can make it a whole different movie. You know what I mean? Like a whole different set of things would open up.
So it was like,
it's like I had to be very, very careful.
It's like you're fucking with nitroglycerin, right? It's like,
yes, when handling hazardous materials like that, just make sure you're a trained professional.
You're careful and you're not drunk and like all fucked up and like, you know.
Oh no, I was pretty high, but
don't tell people that.
Oops.
You're like, yeah, I could be a registered sex offender for this, maybe. Yeah.
I better smoke another bowl, get me prepared.
So, when you have that thought, shit, maybe I should not make this because it's that fucked up. Say, it's fucked up for who, where, when,
No,
why.
see, that's the thing. When I have that thought, it's just like, all right, if it's too fucked up, how can I present it so that it's acceptable in some way?
It becomes a challenge. Whether or not you can actually make that into a...
But I mean, dude, what is too fucked up in movies today? I mean, there was a mainstream fucking movie about people's mouths being sewed to other people's asses.
Mm-hmm. Twice.
So yeah,
They did it twice.
What is too fucked up, dude? In a world when you can go fucking watch a video of a live dude getting fucking his head cut off, or like kids fucking skewering screwdrivers into people's living man's eyeballs and eviscerating him alive. Like, what is too fucked up in today's world?
I will find it, and I will get back to you and make a movie about it.
Right?
You can find what's too fucked up by browsing XTube on late at night.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're probably a good person to ask, James, you know, and like, I kind of feel the same way. It's like, you know, if you're curious, you've seen a lot of crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, dude, what disturbs you? I mean, there's stuff obviously that can be like, you know, disturbing to think about, whatever, but I don't really think, you know, how you would use that in a film or something that's just like, that's too fucked up, I can't do it.
Well, I think it's easy to find what's really fucked up by seeing like how naive we are and thinking like, oh, this is how people are, and they don't put things in there, and they don't do these kind of things. I mean, you could easily shock people by just showing them the truth, by, you know, saying, oh, you know, here's a murder that actually happened. Here's a, you know, this is how many arms this person can put in another person's rear end. I mean, those things are fucking frightening.
Yeah, when I was like in high school, this dude rented this VHS of this movie called Traces of Death.
Oh yeah, I've seen all of those.
Not Faces, but Traces.
Yeah, the real hardcore ones.
Yeah, and this was before like the internet and stuff, and I just remember. Then this is probably something that happens with a lot of people when they see that stuff, and then it just makes you feel like a bag of meat. It kind of takes all the magic out of life, and there's nothing, you know, you're not this special thing, whatever. You're just this bag of meat that can be fucking easily eviscerated with a blade in the right place or a fucking gunshots or whatever. And like, yeah, on a random note, yeah.
But the cool thing is you could use these shocking elements to kind of illuminate, you know, certain aspects of the human life that we really kind of take for granted. Or we don't think about. We choose not to think about.
Yeah, like, you know, I'm just thinking of somebody, like a movie that I really liked that probably, I know the filmmaker got shit and it was like, oh man, that's too fucked up, is Todd Solondz with, like, Happiness.
Mm-hmm. That was a good one.
Where, you know, the dad is a psychologist who's a pedophile and, like, rapes the son's, like, friend and this and that. And it's like, yeah, but that's real shit. That really happens.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's real stuff that happens in the real world, you know, is the real world too fucked up? People just don't know because they cover their eyes to it, but, yeah.
And it's pedophile stuff that seems to be the most, like, that's the one that really irks people the most these days, I think.
Yeah, there's just some stuff in pop culture, and maybe it's because, like, the fucking, you know, the fucking Pope is a pedophile, or these fucking dudes who are at the,
like there's always a new pedophile dude coming out of somewhere.
or some like high class businessman or something. So maybe the fuckers that run the media or do some shit are fucking pedophiles. Like, who knows? You know? So like, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't talk about that.
I'm sure you've heard the Kathy O'Brien tapes before.
Yeah. Transformation of America. I read that book.
I love her.
And there's also what's the other woman? Bryce Dallas. What? Bryce.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
So if people don't know
Arizona
what we're talking about.
There's another one.
There are these books written, like the most famous one is by this woman named Kathy O'Brien, and the book is called Transformation of America. And she claimed to be part of this satanic sex cult wherein a lot of very prominent politicians and high-class rich people, businessmen, whatever, took part in these activities and behaviors where they systematically raped children and just did all kinds of fucked up shit. But yeah, so if people want to check that out to make them feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
I sampled one time where she claimed that somebody cut Satan into her vagina, like they cut it inside of into her vagina
to scare Castro, or who was that guy? Noriega.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this book, yeah, they say that the woman they performed they put a tattoo. Wasn't it a tattoo of Baphomet?
They like slit Satan's face like inside of her vagina, like I have the video of it, like they show like the close up of it, like the scans and everything. She just describes how it was done, like how they carved the nose and the mouth, and it's really weird.
And they did it because they were using these people as mind control sex slaves to do various things. But I think in that occasion in the book, I think it was Manuel Noriega, and they wanted to scare the fuck out of him, so they like pimped him off to her as a prostitute, and then she showed that to him and scared the fuck out of him because like the devil head comes out of this woman's vagina. So if you want some really bizarre shit,
I love that woman with all my heart.
And dude, I mean, who knows? You know, it's like you know, it's like, I don't know, some of the, you know, I walk around in my town and I walk through the park where, you know, all the homeless people are and the fucking junkies or whatever, and, you know, some of those fuckers are, you know, pretty weird talking to themselves or fucking jerking off the park, whatever, but they don't really scare me. Mm-hmm. But then if I walk by, like, the fucking Catholic church and, like, see the fucking, like, rich white dudes, like, coming out of there or whatever, or the fucking businessmen at, like, 8 in the morning, those fuckers are scary as shit in their eyes. I think those are the fucking sick fucks.
Yeah, the ones who aren't so out about it.
Well, and you know, when you're all rich and fucking successful, there's like decadence and people get bored and they're like, I'm tired of fucking human women. I'm gonna fuck children. I'm tired of doing this. I'm gonna fuck donuts. You know, made of fucking babies or something, you know, like, but yeah. That's a different podcast.
Well, I mean, yeah.
The baby donuts aren't as good as the baby munchkins.
Well, I wouldn't know, James. I just made it up. I didn't know it was a real thing that you people do.
You people.
Well,
you know, as I was saying that, I was like, what if somebody sampled this podcast and used me out of context? I probably shouldn't say that.
I might do it.
But, okay, let's go on to the next question. So, the next question is, do you remember having any imaginary friends as a kid? If so, are any of them still around? James, you want to answer that first?
I didn't have any imaginary friends, but I would have orgies with all my toys.
Orgies?
With my toys. I would have the April O'Neil action figure, and I would like rub her against my junk.
Oh, April O'Neil from Ninja Scroll in the yellow jumpsuit. I mean, from Ninja Turtles. Sorry. Right?
Yeah.
Is that April O'Neil?
Yes.
Yeah, and like the goofy chick from Ghostbusters, I would like rub her on my butt. And
wait, describe to us April O'Neil action figure.
She had like a tight ass,
short red hair.
That's the only thing he remembers is tight ass.
She had lips that, you know, if they were big enough.
Hey, wait, what kind of podcast is this turning into? Sorry for asking that question. What about you, Jimmy ScreamerClauz?
I don't remember any consistent imaginary friends, no. They'd come and go.
Okay, yeah, same here. I've never had any imaginary friends ever. And they're not around. What was the best/worst experience you've had working with another person? Jimmy ScreamerClauz?
I mean, I've been pretty lucky. Everyone I worked with's always been really cool. So I don't really have a bad, like a worst experience or anything like that.
No.
I don't really have an answer. Like everyone's always been super cool and just did whatever. And I like people who improv, like who can add a little something to it too. So that's always just worked out in my favor too.
Yeah. What about you, James?
I did a short film like years ago that I never released, and the main actor in it kind of questioned every single action I made, and he really had an attitude the whole time through, and it was just absolutely frightening because honestly, I really don't handle scrutiny very well. So, like, having an actor, tell you, well, that's not how I would do this, or that shot's not going to work, or it really bummed me. And
did he direct movies or something, or did he want to direct or write or something?
No, like, I think if I remember his filmography, I think he was just an actor. I think that the problem was he worked too much with people who, probably came out of the, film school, and they, like, had a specific way of shooting something, with, like, a big crew, and he was working with me, and I had like a friend who was a DP, and I had someone hold like a mic. I'm sure it wasn't like the kind of shoot he was used to, so of course he just looked at it like, oh, that puny little shoot, why
weren't you just like, look, bitch, this is my motherfucking movie, alright? Alright?
You heard that? I'm sure it would come out more like,
why are you ruining my movie, man?
No, dude, you gotta be like, look, motherfucker.
But honestly, like, one of the things I would suggest people to do is, like, if there's somebody who's negative on set, or if you have like a voice actor who's negative, or you just don't let them anywhere near your project, because they really are going to be a cancer on your project.
And maybe you could have, if you interviewed them or hung out with them ahead of time, maybe you would have seen it or picked up on it or something.
Right.
Now, knowing that now, right?
Yeah. So, like, you really need to kind of know who's going to be a part of your project and be willing to kind of kick them out if they're just going to be, complete ass.
Yeah, because you want an actor to believe in it,
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm doing totally. I'm kind of trying to figure that out or experiment. And you want them to be willing to go along with you on the ride and just, see what happens.
I mean, it's a team effort if you have other people on board. And it can't be a team effort if someone is constantly, talking down to you and constantly just, dressing you down at every moment.
Yeah. I guess my worst experience working with someone is happening right now with the composer Heartstring Marionette. So it's the best because the dude's fucking awesome and the music's amazing and we're friends. But then it's worse because I've had to wait so much and so long that I'm dying inside.
You will die inside.
Yep, that's what it means.
It's come full circle.
Yeah. So the last part of this person's question is, ever have any paranormal encounters?
Oh, I know MDOT has a whole list for this one.
No. How about you, James?
I don't really have paranormal encounters, but I do hallucinate a lot.
You do?
No, I'm serious. Like, I grew up on, like, fucking Tales from the Dark Side and Monsters and Twilight Zone and all those kind of shows, so I've grown up with this firm sense of my life is a giant cosmic irony, where everything I know is just like built up for, like, my girlfriend taking off her face and be like, I'm a monster. Rawr.
I feel you, bro. I feel you.
So, like, I constantly, especially at night, I constantly, like, look out windows, fully expecting to see something, and sometimes I see something. So I don't have paranormal experiences, but I certainly have, not normal ones.
I mean, dude, Tales from the Dark Side was scary. Dun, dun, dun. Another side. Wow. Yeah.
Some, how does it go? Some would believe.
Yeah.
I've been rewatching both of those, Tales from the Dark Side and Monster.
Because it was like a negative image of like a forest,
and
it was on late at night, and yeah, it's pretty scary. So you think from having all that creepy shit in your subconscious, just like it's created this swirling beast of imagery and things that.
Oh, most certainly. I have a way too active imagination, and once you take away, the ability to actually see what really is there, it's going to take over and kind of, populate it with its own little character.
Hey, guy, you should make movies.
Yeah.
Hey, I think you should do that. What about you, Jimmy ScreamerClauz?
I mean, I don't really have any great stories though. Kind of what James was saying though. It's kind of funny. I still kind of think like that all the time. Like I kind of always feel like I'm the only real person. Everyone's just drones around me, just generated by these things, and like I get all crazy like that too. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to think my life was a lot like that movie, The Truman Show. And then when that movie came out, I was like, what? No, what? They're really inside of my head now. They're copying the movie about my life. I mean, as for paranormal stuff, I mean, I don't know. I've felt and seen a lot of weird shit on mushrooms. I don't know if that counts as paranormal.
What about the demons, Jimmy ScreamerClauz? Tell us about the demons.
I kind of do have an obsession with demonic possession, so when I read about all the demonic possession stuff, like I usually do fit the requirements for what the Christians have for the requirements for demonic possession. Like, yeah, I feel like that all the time. Wait a second, I say those things. I do make pictures defacing Jesus. What's going on here? Maybe I am possessed.
Wait a minute, I do fuck myself with
yeah. Wait a second, I do chant backwards. When I come, I start just talking backwards and my head spins around. Orgasming backwards, dude.
And human ejaculate doesn't come out, it's the blood of Jesus Christ.
And then Jesus comes out and he just judges me right there. You did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did this wrong.
It's type O negative blood.
I'm like, dude, Jesus, come on, man, I need a second. I just got done, man. So, I don't know, yeah, paranormal experiences, totally.
And you do the Jesus Christ pose.
I do, like, going back to the mushrooms thing, though, I do highly recommend that everybody does mushrooms at least once in their life.
Really?
Just outside. At least once, because, like, there's this dude, Terrence McKenna, who wrote a whole bunch of books about psychedelic experiences, and he always compared it to, like, going through your life without a psychedelic experience is like going through your life without a sexual experience. Like, you're missing out on a whole separate part of life that you don't really even, like, understand, or...
Oh.
Because, like, I'm not really a religious person. I do kind of believe in some sort of God kind of creature thing or something. I don't know. I believe in something. Like, when I take mushrooms and stuff, like, you kind of feel some sort of presence, like, all around you. And, like, I remember the first time I took them, it kind of felt like this weird familiar feeling, like, oh wait, I remember this. I've been here before. Like, it was like a memory that I had that I was reliving, like just the feeling of mushrooms. And like, you don't really understand it, and then like once you're off them, like you kind of forget it until the next time you do them. Then it's like I don't know. I probably shouldn't be condoning mushrooms on a filmmaking podcast.
Yeah, like
skip all the other shit, kids. Take some mushrooms, but skip all the other shit.
I've never done any hallucinogenics or anything like that, but I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast sometimes, and I know that guy's talking a lot about it, and he has guests on all the time, and it sounds really interesting. I mean, I've never done it, but I can see the point where they talk about, like there was a book that I saw where they were taking, it was all this really old, like biblical pictures, photos and stuff, and supposedly they were saying that the shit was edited out, but in the past, the Eucharist that was used in Catholicism or Christianity was actually a mushroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff like that.
So then it's like, wait, yeah, that shit makes sense. So you ate the body of Christ, which is a mushroom, and then you saw God and talked to God and like saw 7-headed demons and fucking all this shit, and it's like, so that's why I tell people now, I'm like, yeah, dude, go take some drugs and write it down, and in 1,000 years it'll be the Bible.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you guys need to take drugs to see 7-headed demons?
Consistently.
So yeah.
If I want them on demand, yes.
So I don't want this podcast to go on too long about it, but I've never used any hallucinogenics or any drugs like that, but yeah, I've seen apparitions, ghosts, flying cubes of light. I started my childhood by being abducted by aliens every night. Seen plenty of anti-gravity craft, and all kinds of weird shit all through my whole life. That's kind of how I became into Strange. But so yes, lots of paranormal stuff. Let's see. The last question is, and I hope you guys did this list. Someone asked us to list our top 10 favorite films. However, none of them can be the films of the people on the podcast.
Oh, well, all 10 of mine are gone.
Oh, my... Oh. So I think if we go through our list, we'll try not to make it go on too long. So maybe just like a sentence or two on why that movie you think is awesome and why it's, one of the best ever. So let's start with you, James.
Well, I would say, first and foremost, Martin by George Romero. It's a vampire story about a teenager who may or may not be a vampire, who also kind of has to figure out how human relationships work. It's really creepy and it's really depressing, and it's a really good exercise in like how
What's it called again? Martin?
Martin.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Night of the Living Dead. Everyone knows what it is. I saw it as a little kid, and it's always inspired me. And it's always been.
Which one?
The original.
The black and white one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Dawn of the Dead, but of course because it's stark. It's all about the people. It's not about the zombies. Even though they're zombies. And I think it's a really good exercise in how people would be in a crisis and how people can get distracted from their goals. I would say Seven Samurai. It's an amazing movie about just characters and kind of growing to love characters and watching those characters kind of meet their end. I would also say Zombie, also known as Zombie 2. It's just the atmosphere in that movie is amazing.
That's Italian, right?
That's an Italian movie by Lucio Fulci, and it's just it's steeped in atmosphere. It may not make much sense. It may not be acted very well, but it's steeped in atmosphere. I would add El Topo by Alejandro Jodorowsky. It's a spiritual Western with a Jesus-like character, and it's probably the weirdest fucking movie anyone could see. It was John Lennon's favorite movie. He would take it everywhere he went and showed it to his friends and people around. I would also add Eraserhead. Eraserhead kind of got me through high school. I think it's, again, steeped in atmosphere, and I think it's a good story about loneliness and the inability to kind of get people and be in relationships. I would add... Frankenhooker. I think Frankenhooker is just amazingly shot. And I love.
I have some Head and Ladder movies on my list too.
I think Frankenhooker just is amazing. It looks cool. It's funny.
You gotta be careful of those lawnmowers.
Yeah, you gotta be, especially when they're remote controlled.
Yeah.
Another movie by Frank Henenlotter would be Brain Damage.
I love Brain Damage.
Brain Damage has probably some of the best visuals in a B movie. I mean, if someone is looking for inspiration on how to shoot a bizarre but cool movie with very little budget, I would look at Brain Damage. And last but not least, well, I have so many, but
only 10, guy.
Oh Jesus Christ, man! I would say Hauzu. Hauzu, also known as House. It was developed to be the Japanese counterpart to, like, the Japanese blockbuster after Jaws came out in America, but it was done by a guy who did advertisements, and it looks like it was shot by someone who doesn't know how films work. Every shot every shot has a visual, like a special effect and a compositing, and it is just a feast for the eyes.
So he made a 2-hour movie composed of like 8,000 30-second commercials.
Exactly. It's just you watch it and just let your brain just shut off and just enjoy the brain candy. It is, to me, it's the Japanese 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, all right. Should I say my 10 movies and then you, Jimmy ScreamerClauz?
Sure.
No one wants to hear your movies and Doc.
Okay. Well, I bet they'll surprise people though. And now, when I thought of this list, you know, there's like movies that I'm like, yeah, when I talk about movies, it will sound cool if I talk about these movies because, like, yeah, they're interesting or obscure or whatever. But then I was like, you know what? Nah, I should look at the movies I watch the most.
Oh, yeah, but that's kind of what I did, too.
You know, the movies I've watched over and over, and, like, maybe I'm like, it doesn't seem that awesome or something, but then I just fucking always watch them all the time. So, the first movie is Escape from New York by John Carpenter starring Kurt Russell, which seems like this cheesy, like, 80s future movie. And, you know, I was really into the Metal Gear Solid games, and, like, Solid Snake was taken from Snake Plissken, who's the main character of Escape from New York. So it's awesome because it originates in that, and it's, I just like the cheesy 80s post-apocalyptic or whatever future. And, I mean, but then the mood and the lighting and like, I've taken a bunch of stills from that movie, and I just have them in my color and lighting reference because it's just so awesome. The blues and the greens and the fire and just that, you know, that's back when they actually had real sets and fucked up, like, whole neighborhoods to make movies look awesome. And, yeah, that's one of my favorite movies. And The Sword of Doom, which is, like, one of the best samurai movies, like, ever made. And it's just so dark and just so epic in the photography. Like, almost every shot is like an awesome photo, and the character, like, when I saw the movie I was like, that was the best hero story I ever saw, and then people reviewed it was like, this is about the most despicable evil man ever, and I was like, what do you mean? So it's a perfect, like, anti-hero if you like the anti-hero, and in this one the anti-hero kind of wins. So, and in the have you guys seen that movie?
No, I haven't, no.
Okay, I won't give you the spoiler. But the way it ends, I was just like, oh, shit, because people don't end movies like that. And then...
Not the Sword of Doom, it was the Sword of Anal.
No. And then one of the other ones is Samurai Wolf, which is a kind of not as... Like, Sword of Doom's well-known, but Samurai Wolf isn't. It was just kind of like, okay, it's 1966 samurai movie. But it's directed by Hideo Gosha, who was, like, one of the samurai film, like, masters. And just in this one, it's like, if you ever liked any westerns, like, for a few dollars more or whatever, it's like, this shit is that, like, 10 times better, with way better music, way better mood, more interesting characters. And the actor who was in it played bit parts on a lot of other samurai movies, but this one, he was, like, a starring role, and, like, I wish he would have starred in other ones because it was awesome. So it has, like, battles, epic sword fights in front of a giant bonfire while a blind woman's playing a koto in the background, and the guy that's fighting is her ex-husband, and the guy he's fighting is the guy she's in love with right now, which is dope shit like that. And one of the other ones that I think is one of the best movies ever is Idiocracy by Mike Judge.
Oh, I love that movie.
Which has to be one of the funniest movies ever made.
Yeah, like, for sure.
I laughed through all fucking 90 minutes. And, you know, the story of it, it's in the future, and people are so stupid. A guy who is from our time becomes the smartest man in the world, and it's just ridiculous. But then what happened is that they spent like $30 million to make it, but then when they showed it to test audiences, they hated it. And I think they hated it because they were the stupid people that were being made fun of in the movie. So then they hated it, and then whatever. So it made me look differently at the world. And it made the world much funnier and enjoyable to me, too. Because then if I'm in some place where it's just fucking stupid, then I'm just like, ho, Idiocracy. And then Ninja Scroll, which is a late 80s anime movie by Yoshiaki Kawajiri. And that was actually the first anime film I'd ever seen. So in the beginning, there's like a fucking demon dude made of rocks who's throwing this giant blade, cutting people in half, and then body parts are raining down from the forest, and fucking trees are falling, and then he's fucking raping some chick, and it was just so crazy. I was like, whoa! And it has monsters and samurais and demons and all that, so that's one of my favorites. And then another one by the same director is Vampire Hunter D: Bloodlust. And Vampire Hunter D is like probably one of my favorite heroes of all time because I've read all the novels. But one of the reasons this movie was so powerful is that when I was living in LA, I went to a record store like on a Sunday, and then there was a poster for this Vampire Hunter D movie, and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna go see it. And then it was the last day that it was playing, and then I took the fucking last bus to the last showing in Westwood to see it and saw it on a big screen, and that was just so awesome. That made me want to make animated films, like seeing it like that. And then the movie that made me want to make films, period, was David Lynch's Lost Highway, which came out in 1996, and
that was a big one for me too.
Yeah, I saw that in a theater with a friend, and then we fucking talked about it for like 3 hours afterwards, like at a coffee shop. And one of the reasons it made me want to make movies is because I was like, whoa, I've never like been so into something so much that me and someone else talked about it for so long after, and then it broke the rules for what I thought a movie was, and I was like, you can do that in movies? So that was a big one. And then some other samurai movies, Hunter in the Dark by Hideo Gosha too, is just like, that's super, like everything's done right, awesome actors, awesome photography, music, everything. And one of the best movies ever made too is Harakiri by Kobayashi is the director, and that kind of is, this dude was like super critical of like the samurai age, and it's kind of shows you how that age was corrupted, and you can apply that to today too. So, but again, Tatsuya Nakadai, like one of the best actors ever, and just super awesome performance in the movie. And then my 10th movie is The Road Warrior, with Mel Gibson, which is the second one in the trilogy. In that movie, there's a dude I met at a film festival, animator dude named John Burgeon, who makes really cool guy who makes comics and stuff. And we were talking about it, and it's like a perfect movie. Like the way it's shot, the way it's edited, the fucking pacing, everything is just perfect. And like it started a whole genre of like post-apocalyptic road movies that went into anime and did all this shit, and it's just super original. And yeah, so those are my 10 favorite movies, and it's because I watch them over and over, not because if I thought about it, I was like, I should throw in some Shinya Tsukamoto, like Snake of June, because the psychosexual blah blah, and I like that movie, but I haven't watched it over and over. But yeah, so I would have 10 more that are like, these should be my favorite, but I don't watch them over and over. So yeah, what about yours, Jimmy ScreamerClauz?
So I mean, like, I don't know if these are my 10 favorite. These are just 10 that I thought would be, I don't know, I guess interesting to talk about, because, I mean, I didn't want to put, like, Taxi Driver and Clockwork Orange and, you know, Donnie Darko, all those movies.
No, dude, you have to put, what's that movie that's supposed that they talk about in all the film books? Fucking, Rosebud. Citizen Kane.
I've never actually seen Citizen Kane.
You can't be a filmmaker.
You talk about, like...
But yeah, I didn't want to fill it with stuff like that, so I filled it with kind of more, not so much obscure, just, like, kind of things I guess you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
So I mean, one of the things I have on here is Maniac. I guess you would expect that one. It's an 80s horror movie by Bill Lustig, and it's from the serial killer's point of view instead of the cops hunting the serial killer. And it's just basically this dude just killing women, taking their hair and dressing up mannequins like them, and he just talks to them in his house for a while.
Yeah,
just
I saw
like
that one. That's right.
There's just long scenes of him just talking to these mannequins with like bleeding hair on them, and I just think it's awesome.
It's a really awesome movie. It really is.
And then another one I have on here that's like a polar opposite of Maniac is Martin Short's Clifford. Because I could watch Clifford pretty much any time of the day, because I just look at that movie and I'm like, what? How does this even fucking exist? Because like if movies like that, like movies that I don't think should exist, like they just hold a special place in my heart for me. And like for those who haven't seen it, it's just Martin Short plays this troubled child who stays with his uncle in LA, who he just wants to go to this amusement park called Dinosaur World, and just gets into this whole web of lies of him trying to get to Dinosaur World and just wacky shit. And it's just like, it's the most retarded movie in the whole fucking universe, but I could watch it any time of the day, all day, every day.
Jimmy, I forgot about the movie until you just told.
And isn't it amazing?
It was an amazing movie. What was it, Clifford?
Yeah, Clifford.
Jesus Christ. I think I saw that. When was it out? Like early 90s? Or?
Yeah, I found it on VHS the other day. I made Emily watch it with me, and she just looked at me like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, I don't know, it's great. Let's watch it again.
I think I saw it in the theaters.
So for my third selection, this is just something I'm completely obsessed with. I don't even know if this is really a movie, but it's this documentary called Official Rejection. Have you heard of this, M.
Yeah.
It's a documentary about film festivals, and it's just these dudes trying to get this movie called 10 Till Noon at all the big film festivals and then getting rejected. And I just got obsessed with every single person in that movie. Like, I don't even, like, it's not even about, like, educating me about film festivals anymore. It's just watching all these fucking characters. like try to sell these movies. It's just like, what are these real movies? There's like one called like The Dog Walker and shit. Like you see the posters for him behind all these people talking about like film festival politics. Like, they said my movie's not good enough, and then like it has like the usual film festival people, like Lloyd Kaufman's in it and Kevin Smith and everyone. And I just watch it with obsession, like over and over and over again.
Why?
Like I don't know. There's just something like the screw loose in my brain, like that makes me do these things. And then I showed it to my friend Victor, who lives with me, and he got obsessed with it too now. So now we look up all the people on YouTube.
Why? What people did you get obsessed with?
The people who made this movie. Like, and we just look them up on YouTube, and they just go to film festivals, and they just break all these people's balls. I don't know why, dude. I'm telling you, there's something wrong with me.
You know, on a side note, I think, I ruined their movie because in that they're saying that no real independent films get into the big festivals anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And in that movie, they were at the Sundance Film Festival in 2007.
Yeah.
When I was there with the fucking movie I made by myself in a bedroom, and I'm just a guy, so I was like, hey, why didn't they mention me? Oh, yeah, I would fuck up all their complaining. Oh.
I don't know, dude. I love every single person in that movie.
That's hilarious.
All right, so number 4 is this weird Australian movie called Bad Boy Bubby. I don't know if either one of you heard about this, but it's about this dude whose mom locks him in the house with her and says that the entire world is populated by toxic chemicals, and if he goes outside, he'll die.
Whoa.
And like he's like real stunted in growth, so like he's a 35-year-old 40-year-old man at this point, and but he's only like 10 years old mentally, and he can't really talk. All he could do is mimic things that people say to him, and he eventually, like through a weird strain of events, he manages to get out of that house, and he just goes into the world like completely like still at the head of like a 5-year-old, not being able to talk, and just wanders from place to place, getting into these weird fucking disturbing mishaps sometimes.
Huh.
And since he can only mimic stuff, so they make him the singer of a band. Like he joins a punk band at one point, and it was like and the thing they did with it is like every single new place that he goes, because he's only in every place for like 3 minutes, like they have like a different cinematographer doing it and stuff, and got real experimental with the scenes and shit like that. So that's a real offbeat weird movie that I like a lot. And then another one I have on here is Menace to Society, because I'm obsessed with that movie as well. And I'll go on rants for hours sometimes.
Dude, O-Dog gives a fuck.
O-Dog doesn't give a fuck, man. So Menace to Society I love. I go on rants all the time about just the structure of that movie that nobody really even seems to follow, and I'm probably way off. It probably doesn't even exist, just like Official Rejection. Like it's just probably just some weird thing in my head. And then I also have Garbage Pail Kids on here, because I'm obsessed with Garbage Pail Kids as well. Because that was just for anyone who didn't grow up in the 80s, Garbage Pail Kids were like a sticker series you could get, where it was just like the most disgusting things ever, and it's like just people's names, like that rhymed. Like Messy Tessie was one of the characters, and Alligator.
Bomb, dude, number 1.
Adam Bomb and shit. So in the 80s, they tried to, what'd you say?
I said Beth Death.
Beth.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck about that.
So in the 80s, they tried to make a movie out of this card series somehow, and they kind of made it like an in-between kids movie, but it's just fucking bizarre. They end up becoming like fashion designers and making clothes with their snot and shit. There's a home for the ugly that they're trying to lock everybody up in. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. And like I said, movies that shouldn't exist just hold a special place in my heart.
Well, you know, in the 80s, those movies, I just call those like cokehead producer movies, because so many people like were doing so much cocaine. And then it's just like, yeah, we're going to make this. This should be amazing. Garfield Kids, huh? And I think they got green lit and just threw money around because everyone was so high on coke. But I call those like the cokehead movies. It's like, dude, why would they ever make that? How the fuck did this get made? And it's like, because they were all high on coke.
Another movie I have on here is Della Morte. It's also called Cemetery Man.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a weird Italian zombie movie. Starring
Rupert Murdoch, right?
Yeah, no, Rupert Everett.
Or Rupert Everett, that's right. Yeah, Rupert Murdoch. Yeah, I really like that movie too.
Yeah, it's just this dude living in this. He's like the caretaker at a cemetery, and people come back from the dead at night, and he has to like dispose of them. It just gets really trippy and surreal.
And he has like a super hot girlfriend.
Yeah, who comes back 3 times. There's probably all sorts of meanings I don't understand, but whatever, I don't have to. And the next movie I have is Necromantic, which is a German corpse fucking movie. They made a sequel to it too. It's just this shot on Super 8 movie, real low budget, like just this couple that somehow comes in the dude's like he works for a body cleanup thing. Like if there's a car crash, he goes and cleans up the bodies, and he just ends up taking them home with him. And him and his girlfriend just make love to the dead bodies, and then she falls in love with the dead body and not him anymore, and runs away with it, and then he just goes through depression and stuff. Poor little guy. And the next movie I have is Cannibal Holocaust, which is a real fucked up Italian cannibal movie.
Dude, I saw that in a movie theater in LA.
Yeah, I love that one. I'm wearing a Cannibal Holocaust hoodie right now, actually. And for those who haven't seen it, it's about this documentary film crew that goes into the South American jungle, into the jungles where the cannibal tribes are, and they go to make a documentary about these cannibals. And when they get there and realize that the tribe is peaceful and just a regular tribe and everything, they try to entice them to do horrible things on film for them, and it just gets into real dark places. And most of the movie's just their footage that they.
Yeah, it was kind of
it started that whole.
It's where they got the Blair Witch gimmick. Yeah.
And then the last movie I have in here is it's a documentary called Hell House, and it's about this church in Texas. Every year for Halloween, instead of doing a typical haunted house, they do what's called Hell Houses, where they bring real kids through and they try to scare them out of sinning. So they have these really elaborate scenarios. They have a rave scene where a girl goes to a rave and somebody comes up and goes, "Hey, you want drugs?" She's like, "I don't know. Jesus says I shouldn't take drugs, but he's not here right now, so why not?" So then she takes the drugs and gets raped, and then the kids walk out of that scenario and they go into the next scenario, and it's supposed to be later in the day, and the devil's there, "You got raped because you deserved it, and you shouldn't have gone to the rave, and that's why Jesus doesn't love you." And she's like, "Oh God, I just gotta slip my wrist right now."
And to prove a point, they were really raping people, right? So the kids learn.
Yes, right in front of the kids. And they're like, "Oh, maybe I do need Jesus. I don't even know." So yeah, that's a really kooky, whack job documentary that I like. So there you go. There's some of my 10 favorite movies.
Yeah, dude, your movies totally surprised me.
Some of them don't even count as movies.
Yeah, you know what we should do sometime? Maybe in the future when we have over 10 listeners, we could find one of those sites where you can watch movies and chat at the same time. And we can
it's great official rejection.
Yeah, or some of these movies and with people, and we can chat and
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Do an online, kind of film thing where you can talk to people without really being there, which the internet hasn't replicated yet, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
So hear that, listener? You bring 10 of your friends to listen to our podcast, and we'll watch a movie with you.
We'll watch Official Rejection. I'll explain the real movie to you that's really going on behind the scenes. Dude, come on. That dude who made Johnny Montana, that dude's a fucking freak.
What guy?
The one was it's you just gotta send them a blank DVD so that they call you. And it's what?
Really? I'm gonna watch that movie.
What are you talking?
I didn't watch it. I just saw the trailer and I was like,
dude, it is so amazing. There's just wacky filmmaker. It's just one of the characters in this movie.
Did you know that Hell House started as a short film?
Really? And it just made it into a full-length
documentary? Yeah, dude, way back in 1999 or something, when I was a teenager and I wanted to make movies, there's a film festival in San Jose, and I went to it, and one of the short films was called Hell House, and it was that. And then I think they made the feature after the short, but it was a short.
Oh.
So I saw it and I was like, what the fuck, huh? But I really didn't get it. I was like, is this supposed to be scary?
I love that documentary. Because that's what's good about it. It's somewhere in between. You're not really sure what the filmmakers. You don't really know what the filmmakers' opinion are. It's totally just this is what's going on. Make up your own mind.
Yeah. Well, that was quite a podcast we just did. We talked about tons of other things and probably offended a lot of people. Wait, no, only 10 people listen to it, and they're all sick fucks anyway. So
yeah, good for them.
They cool with it. So yeah, that was episode 3. We'll have episode 4 coming next week, and we have lots of excitement planned, right? You guys quit your day jobs, right? Because it's all we do now.
I don't have one in the first place.
Because we're getting lots of revenue from, yeah. Oh. So, this is M. Strange saying, make your films alone if you have to. It's not that bad. Maybe it's more fun because you can talk to yourself and at least you'll agree. So yeah, if you guys want to make your farewells and tell people, oh, Jimmy ScreamerClauz, there's a special occasion this week. You should tell people about it.
Oh yes, my DVD Blu-ray of Where the Dead Go to Die comes out in 2 days.
Your new fucking movie is out.
My new fucking movie will be out probably. Well, when will this go up? The 20th it is right now. So 21st, tomorrow. Tomorrow the movie comes out, and then the week after the VHSs start shipping too. So yeah, you can get them on unearthfilms.com or Amazon or CD Universe, any of those places.
So yeah, check it out. Where the Dead Go to Die by Jimmy ScreamerClauz.
I don't think it's getting to retail shops just yet. I think that takes a little bit longer at this level, like at the smaller level. But I think they might eventually get in there. It depends.
Yeah.
It depends on who watches the movie.
And I've seen the whole movie, and I can highly recommend it. That it's dope. So,
why? Thank you.
People want to go check it out. That if you'll listen to us for an hour and a half and watch, then you'll like Where the Dead Go to Die, because you're some weird person that obviously wants something that the mainstream and most everything else is not offering you. So, yeah. What are you up to, James? We got people to look forward to in the future.
Oh, I'm animating something with Jimmy ScreamerClauz's voice in it. That should be dropping sometime next month.
Next month?
Right. And other than that, I don't have much to pimp. I just say go to jamesid.com, go to youtube.com/user/IamJamesId. Bother my Twitter at JamesId.
Is this your first animated narrative short film you're making?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, so make sure and make some notes, because I'm sure people will have a lot of questions, because I'm sure there's people listening who want to make animated short films in 3D. So
yeah, I'm filming myself pantsless animating it, so just so you guys can watch.
Tight. So yeah, if anybody has any questions for a dude making his first 3D animated short, post them and he'll answer them as the podcast go forward. So thank you, gentlemen, for your time and your voices. And until next time, forever alone filmmaking. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Thank you for listening to the Forever Alone Filmmaking Podcast. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section wherever this shit is posted. We'll do our best to answer them in a future show. We'll have more guests, animators, filmmakers, weirdos, who create alone. Until next time. It's a lonely world, but someone's gotta do it. Because Hollywood fucking sucks.